What about the tractors? There's a collection here now would be the best way of wording it, I would say.
I'm asked every time I appear out at a show, you're pretty sure one of the first questions you're asked is, Donkey, what's your favourite tractor? As you know, the same question's asked to you. And then people are always, I don't know whether it's nosy or what it is, but there always seems to be great interest in the tractors that we have here at GRASSMEN.
Yeah.
And I suppose, not going to lie, I have a bucket list of tractors. Mm-hmm. And as and when the company does well or does okay, the thinking behind it is trying to buy one tractor every year and ultimately work through it through time, which would mean at this stage in the game we would have 10 tractors. I suppose we've bought 11 tractors, but we've given away 2, so we are currently sitting with 9. So it's 9 tractors, but that was ultimate thinking, and I always said that's what I wanted to do. You know, every year the idea was to try and buy one. It did start as a buying with 3 because of the very famous DVD was, you know, 2 Legends and a Donkey, where we had the project and we needed 3 tractors. And from that, the intention was to try and buy one every year, and then ultimately do them up and have them sitting nice and pretty. But now the reason these tractors that we have here, they're all on a bucket list of mine. There are a lot more in that bucket list. There's a bucket list, we all have a bucket list, you know. So there are a lot more tractors on that bucket list, but just with 2020 now turning out to be the year that it is, we're maybe just going to have to be a little bit cautious, and we mightn't just have the 10 before this year's done and dusted the way it's going. But hey, we're glad we still have a business to come back to after the disaster of the COVID-19. So that's something very positive in its own right, that we're still here and we're still fighting and we're still trying.
The two behind us here.
Yeah, well, you came, I knew something was up because you came to me and you says, Gareth, I need you to really pick your two tractors.
Well, I knew one of them.
Yeah.
But the other one was up for debate.
The one that you knew was the 4755.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fair comment. It's
pride and joy. Like.
That tractor is not just about me. That tractor to me sums up the business. Just, I don't know how to word it properly. I suppose it's sort of part of the ethos. When that tractor came, it was ridiculed in the first DVD, 2 Legs and a Donkey. It hadn't the horsepower, but equally on the dyno that didn't want to give up. It kept going, and I don't care what anyone says, if you go back to that dyno video and you really wait till that's lugged down, that particular tractor, even at 131 horsepower, did not want to die. It kept on going. And when you had it in the field doing something, you could realise, and a lot of people get caught up about this, when we're putting it up against the TW, it shot up to 180 odd horsepower. After that DVD, I felt that it was a little bit, nearly in third place, if you know what I'm saying. And I was determined that through time that would change. And so we set about it once we get up and running and going and a few quid behind us, and we raffled off.
Into a bit of a project.
We turned the tractor into a project because it was my favourite tractor, and we've brought it back to life in a way that I can only describe as sensational. It's 242 horsepower now. 1600 is it pounds foot torque or Newton? I can't remember what reading it is in her. She has full auto steer. Headland, she's
full guidance
package, ISO bus, absolutely everything. VF tires. She is just
perfect.
A honey, and she has went from, at that point, maybe, better than what she maybe appeared, to an absolute crown jewel. And there's no one will come in through those doors that doesn't stop and look at that tractor and go, oh my. So yeah, that tractor was always, and especially after.
She's a great flagship for the business, really, isn't she? Now,
to me, she sums up the business. Yeah. She just sums up our attitude, our work ethic, the fact that we keep going, and whenever there's an opportunity, we will grab it and take it, and we'll follow it as long as we can. And that's sort of what we do. And with the right people on this tractor, everything was just right. It went over to Alec Wilkinson, and he just had the right guy, Richie, looking at the tractor, and just everything feels right about the tractor.
Does it?
Dara Hand with a hitch, and things that would just happen. That, and Fred again with the tires.
Everybody got it right, didn't
everybody just got it right, but they were all explained to what the tractor meant to me, and I don't know whether it's the fact that they knew they were, they maybe knew they were working with. It was, I don't know, but. I think a lot of people thought when it was getting done up that it was going to be raffled, but no, not that one.
No.
She's got me guessing about a present, gonna be her birthday soon. But a 4-star dinner ain't no real big winner, cause she likes to eat at the greasy spoon. Flowers ain't her thing, it's too early for a ring, she don't like to wear perfume. She says take me to the Speedway, East Tennessee way, Sunday afternoon. Let's go to the racetrack, watch those engines run, that's all she wants to do. It's her way of having fun. She loves the noise and loves the boys, going round and round. na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Too tight, too loose, and getting in the groove, cutting tires and gas and go. So much info and race car lingo that I just don't know. Junior, Ryan, Matt, and Kyle, she can't get enough. It's a 4-hour ride through the countryside, and man, she's all jacked up. Let's go to the racetrack, watch those engines run. That's all she wants to do, it's her way of having fun. She loves the noise and loves the boys, going round and round. Let's go to the racetrack, cause she don't like downtown. She says she's gonna teach me all I need to know. And if that's what it takes, I'm gonna let her have her way, and man, I'm good to go.
You weren't sure about the other one. Everybody, I know you understood, but I think Gary was expecting the 7-8-10 to be sitting where the Deutz is sitting. I certainly know if Gary had his choice, if Gary's putting in his two tractors, I know it would be the 1455, and I know it would be the 7-8-10. I don't. If Gary said go and line up my two tractors for me, I wouldn't even have to ask. Yeah. So I know he was a wee bit the Deutz, but there is a reason for it, and I know you just thought I was mad when I bought that thing.
I still do, but,
but
that's neither here nor there.
But you know that there's not one person doesn't think that's cool. That is old school cool.
I know you're still trying to convince me, but
I honestly don't think I could explain to anyone in words what that little tractor means to me. It is a little tractor, it's a small tractor, I understand that, and I mean it was probably so left of field that anybody here was like, what is that man, is he's took to the drugs? I can imagine people thinking that, and I think everybody thought I was absolutely crazy, but I grew up in North Antrim, so it was Bushmills. But my uncles that I would have been so friendly with and did all the work with mostly lay between Bushmills and Ballycastle. And in that particular area, there was a lot of DEUTZ-FAHR tractors.
Yep.
And Sammy tractors.
Still is.
Sammy tractors coming from, at that time, Hunter Kane. And John Laverty over in Armoy was selling Deutz tractors. And whilst in and around Ballymena and other areas of Northern Ireland, the 7610 and 7810 Ford was the tractor to have. A lot of my uncles and relations had Deutzes, DXs and AGROPRIMAs.
Yep.
And the first tractor that I would have been sitting in beside my daddy, my own father driving. So yes, we weren't a farm, but my mother's brothers were farmers, and my father always would have done his bit. Maybe that's the way he worded it. He would have been carting silage in the Deutzes and bits and bobs when it came time to do that. So, one of my uncles would have been cutting silage with a Sammy 90 Explorer and a double chop, and they would have a 390, maybe 2-wheel drive, and was there a 387, I do believe, and then a 451, which was ultimately changed to a 457 sloop nose. Unreal. Ideal loader tractor, but this particular one wasn't on a loader. Never really understood that, but I didn't get into the ins and outs of it. So I remember sitting in beside my daddy. There was no seat, no passenger seat, but you just sat down in the wee bit beside the seat, and this was just heaven. And just listening to that, if I had £1 for every hour I spent sat in there as a Wayne, as a young one. A Wayne means a wee one, a Wayne, Ulster Scot creeping in there. If I had for £1 for every hour spent in there listening to the old air cult. So the second that tractor came here, which we only borrowed from Hunter Kane, so Kane McPherson changed, and then it became Hunter Kane and Son. We borrowed it, and the very second it arrived, I fell in love with it. I think everybody watched it, everybody seen it, everybody understood it. There was no denying it. Didn't fall in love with the new one, Fell in love with the old one. And I thought about it and decided, actually, how cool would it not be to have this tractor and basically give it to my son as on that same sort of line, we call it Duncan's DEUTZ. And he was only 2, like.
It's a good excuse for you to buy a tractor, I suppose, wasn't it?
I think most people bought the reasoning, but I was like, I'm going to give this to Duncan, and I wanted him to see, because, where am I going to go in 10 or 15 years' time to be able to get something like that? So the opportunity was there, so we bought the DEUTZ. And yeah, Duncan loves the DEUTZ. That's cool. That's cool.
She's like the baby of the barn, isn't she?
She's the baby of the barn, but I tell you what, she's very useful. Dyno's at 78 horsepower.
It's all there.
It's all there.
It's good for the power washer.
Actually, the power washer changes note in the tractor. Well, when you put it in the 1,000 and run it,
diesel, I think she's still in the same tank of diesel she come on.
I know, I topped her up one day. I gave her a top up one day. Even old likes her. So that's the reason I've asked the DEUTZ to be there. Those two. Now, I suppose it could be anyone. Don't get me wrong. The 7, 8, 10 is just a sensational
if you're
back
picking a
kit.
tractor to go and do something with.
7, 8, 10, or 3650.
That'll do anything.
Yeah. But the wee DEUTZ is cool, and that's the reasoning behind it. Why when they ask for 2 things? I know now why you wanted the 2, but that's the reason it's there.
What about Eva Rose?
Eva Rose?
This is your real love affair.
Yep, there's no question about that. The first bit of machinery stroke, plant stroke, whatever you want to call it, that was really bought from the business point of view was Eva Rose, was the
workhorse, really.
The 164 480. That lorry was bought to be a workhorse. That lorry was bought.
It was a workhorse.
It was when I bought it. That lorry was bought to try and take forward my HGV training idea. So my whole plan was to start a business and people pass the test and get them out in the lorry. In actual fact, we made a video. To try and get young boys that had just passed the test. We were going to go off, do a bit of driving, did it with a couple of guys, do a bit of driving, show them boats, show them the ropes, had third seat and all organised and set and in there. I think the seat is still over there somewhere. Yeah. We took it back out again. And when I bought that lorry, I think it had 290,000 kilometres on it. And
she still only has
600.
Slightly less.
The name Eva Rose, a lot of people ask Eva Rose. Well, at that time, my business partner John, his first daughter was born, and that was her name. And because I know that's sound a wee bit crazy, but at that time, I honestly didn't think having a family was going to be possible. At that time, I was told it wasn't possible. So, as a gesture towards John and his firstborn, I didn't tell him. I remember getting the name on it and landing it up to the house and going out round the back and getting the wee picture and all taken. So we called Eva Rose. So then what happened then shortly is it sort of settled into me that I maybe couldn't have children. Maybe had a tougher time in my life. A wee bit of, I suppose looking back now, I suppose you could only say depression or a bit of annoyance. So me and Eva became very close. We became so close. And I would have went out at nights and weekends and just to get away, so I might have worked through the week and then the weekend.
Was a therapist.
Yeah. If Eva could talk.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, if we go broke, if we go bankrupt, we go ever, and that's the one thing I want to stay, if I can physically manage it, as Eva Rose, because she means more to me than I can't say the wife, can I? Because that really would be nasty. When you first came about,
a lot of my time was spent on Eva too. I
remember the first day you and I went away together, and we went down the road a wee bit, and you turned around to me and you says, "You any idea nice a driving truck that is?" And I'm like, I haven't really drove many other 164 at that time, because I always drove Volvos and DAFs and Reynolds and whatever Blair International had, you know. So it was you were sort of the first person to start saying, "Son, have you any idea what you have there?" And I was like, "No." You and I have been talking a lot, I suppose. You know, Eva Rose is special and this, that and the other, and you know, we should probably be taking Eva Rose a little bit more off the road and looking for
I think we had the thought of buying an older truck, and then we came to the realisation that we had something pretty special that we needed to preserve, really.
She's a future classic.
Aye. So we realised we really needed to be going forward, buying something fresher.
What had happened was, I think it was I met, shortly after that it was Full of the Pipe, or before it, I can't remember. And I met Martina from A&M Commercials.
That's right.
And me and her were chatting about their big fancy lorry.
And it went all downhill from there.
And she says to me, for changing your 164. What I didn't realise was they had a thing about 164s. And you changing your 164. Now I thought she was just trying to, but I didn't realise they would have loved to have bought the 164. And I says, "Oh, I might do something," which led to a phone call, which led to it cost you nothing to look, which led to me ringing Gary and saying, "I think I've bought a lorry."
Aye.
We took her to Johnny Blakely. We said to Johnny Blakely, and this will answer questions for a lot of people, there really was never a choice about the colour.
No.
The colour of Georgianne is off the roll code for Eva Rose. So Georgianne had to go the same colour as Eva Rose, because both of us in agreement, Eva Rose is the lorry. Johnny Blakely has a lot of well-known tying truck drivers call in with him every single day, every single week. Told him he was mad, 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 mad. And one of the best known of those, whenever he painted it, was, "Oh my goodness, that's lethal." Since that lorry has came to the fleet, she's done a lot more than people maybe realise. She does work, she does a bit of haulage, and you know, she can go out and do whatever needs done, and looks absolutely deadly. Everything here, a lot of people think, I suppose, they have their own thoughts about the business and have their own thoughts about what they think they know. But, you know, 10 years ago, it started with 2 people in a dream. Today, there is 21 people on the PAYE of the business. This business now supports mortgages, families, and, you know, all done from a young boy's dream. And I just think that
That's something to be proud of.
Yeah, like I do think that, and I think that, you know, there's people working for us that, you know, and in the past have worked to us that, you know, have furthered themselves, have, you know, went on and maybe started with us and went on and had different types of careers. There's people that has worked here, and, you know, we chat a lot with different ones that, you know, there's a lot of people has worked about here and has worked with us through our early days. And, you know, there's even things going on around the barn today as someone who was with us in the early days, and you talked about, you know, Stevie and lots of different ones that be floating in and out that has been with us in the past. And, and it's great to see that, and you have the likes of Alwyn, and you have all that support network out there, and some fantastic friends within the business. It's not just business. It's a business with a heart, and it's a business that cares. And, you know, you look at what we do, and, you know, we started out producing DVDs. We're still producing DVDs, but we've moved a lot to free online content.
Yeah.
And we let the people see what our life is about. And okay, look, if someone doesn't like it, they don't like it. That's entirely their choice. But if it's free, it's free is the way I look at it. We don't charge anyone. The only thing we charge for is if you want to buy a T-shirt or a hoodie or a physical DVD product, that is absolutely fine. But when I look over at that table and think, I remember being stood there myself on day one, talking about the business, what the business is and how they sell. And if I'm at a show now, I don't have to talk about, you know, the business. And there's been a lot of sacrifice over the last 10 years. You know, there's been a lot of family events. There's been a lot of things that we would like to have done, but we've put the business first because we've been trying to grow it. And, you know, there's been, you know, people turn up to the likes of the Irish Ploughing and they see this almighty massive stand. And I must admit, this, you know, this is one of the things that annoys me at times. A little bit annoys me because you put on this great show and you have this trailers and lorries and things everywhere, and it does look the part, and some people can't understand that of what's behind that and what's took that to get there. I mean, I remember going to my first FTMTA grass and muck show, which was cancelled this year, but I remember going there, and my first year there, I misjudged it all. We didn't own a van. I hired a van. I paid 50 quid to hire a van for a day. I left I couldn't afford to stay in a hotel or stay in accommodation. I left at what I thought was 4 o'clock in the morning. I had no help. No one wanted to go with me or help me. So off I went on my own at that time to that first particular show. Misjudged my timing. Arrived in too late. Wasn't allowed the van up beside the tent. Had to start and cart across a field. Boxes, set up boxes in a wee gazebo and start and try and sell stuff. But I remember nearly selling out of stuff that day. Yeah. I remember thinking it was all worth it at the finish up. So there has been great sacrifice, and you know, there's been a lot of hours in Eva Rose that people would never understand, working to try and bring money in for the business, to get the business up and running. And I suppose all I would try and say to people is, it wasn't by chance. It wasn't a fluke. Everything has been hard work and a team of people working hard behind it. And Grassmen is always about a team. The more you and I get to stand at the front all the time and people see it, they don't see those 21 people.
Oh, no.
Well, minus us two, but 19, they don't see the other 19 people involved. Yeah. They don't see it, and they don't necessarily understand it. And, you know, they don't understand that they just think that, oh, you click your fingers and, you know, you just found a wee pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's just not that simple. But it's, you know, you can't help but be proud when you turn around and you look at it. There's different reasons. Like if
I think you should be proud of it when it comes through hard work.
If there was a load to London in the morning, a load to London to go, should it be 44 ton? It can't be any heavier, sure it can't. No, 44 ton load to go to London in the morning. What lorry would I take?
Volvo.
Why? We didn't tell him about the Volvo. What lorry would I take? Eva Rose.
Yeah.
If you were going in the morning to go anywhere, you'd take Georgianne, and it's just the way it works. We call them our trucks, and we have a Volvo now. It wasn't a big project, folks, don't panic. It was a sub $5 grand project, all right? But I really wanted a Volvo, and we're working on Project Volvo at the minute, but no. I mean, we took that truck, realistically, from where she sits now and the amount of kilometres, she doesn't do much now. She's really my truck for running to the shows. Hopefully we can get her done up and run the shows a bit, you know, with a wee bit more style, but she's my living house when I go to the shows is the way I would word it. And she's a curse strong bed in her, because I sleep up in the top bunk. And she's still not twisted, believe it or not. But she's something that I don't think in all the shows that we do and all the staff it's about, I don't think I've ever once complained about staying in the lorry. I think I get better night's sleep in the lorry than I nearly do anywhere. Yeah. And you know, so I'm actually really annoyed that we're not really going to get the show circuit this year with them. But they'll do their bit. I mean, they can go and they'll work and whatever they have to do. If they have to go out to help earn a few quid in the midst of all of this, issues we have with coronavirus and that, they will, and happily. They're both sitting as well serviced and maintained as can be. It's turn the key, diesel, and go anywhere. That's the way we try and keep them, and that's the way we want them to be. So, did I answer your questions? You happy?
I'm happy. I hope the viewers are happy. Maybe answered a few things. And
Can I ask you a question now?
no. Aye, go on ahead.
Why do you not like the Volvo?
I didn't say I didn't like the Volvo.
You did.
Well,
You said it was dead. It had no
but
power.
that doesn't say that. Now, hold on a minute.
That's what
That
you
doesn't
said.
mean I didn't like it.
No, I'm still so offended by this.
Right. What's your favourite tractor brand?